Students, welcome to the session of chemistry, and we are going to continue with our chapter 1, chemical reactions and equations, and this is part 4 for the same. Up till now, we have been studying different types of reactions. So today we are going to study a new type of reaction called double displacement reaction. What is double displacement reaction? Reaction in which there is an exchange of ions between reactants is called double displacement reaction. Example of double displacement reaction. This phenomena will be more clear with the help of one example. So example given over here. Look at it carefully. Sodium sulfate reacts with barium chloride, giving the product barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Now how the reaction actually taking place? If we see the reactants, first of all, sodium sulfate, which is made out of two ions, Na plus and SO4 minus 2, and the other reactant, which is BaCl2, made out of other two ions, barium plus 2 and Cl minus. When the exchange of ion takes place over here, Na plus gets attached to Cl minus, Ba plus 2 gets attached to SO4 minus 2, and it results into our product. So this is how the double displacement reaction takes place, by exchange of ions. The same reaction, if we study in detail, in the next slide it is given. So here the same reaction is given, which is going to give us white precipitates of barium sulfate. The precipitates means nothing but solid which is formed in the reaction. So how the reaction actually takes place? Here we can see two test tubes are taken. In first test tube we have got barium chloride solution. In other test tube we have got sodium sulfate solution. And when they are mixed together, then what happens is we are going to get the white precipitates of barium sulfate. So this is how fast the reaction takes place. As soon as we mix these two liquids, we are going to get the white solid or white precipitates. And it takes place just by exchange of ions between the reactants. There is one more example for double displacement reaction that we are going to study in the next slide. So one more example of the same reaction, same type of reaction. We can see here lead nitrate combines with potassium iodide. It gives us lead iodide solid plus potassium nitrate. How the actual reaction takes place again? If we can see in the beaker, when we mix these two liquids, as soon as we mix them, that is lead nitrate and Ki, we are going to get the yellow precipitates of lead iodide. So this is the final product that we are going to get. How the actual reaction takes place? So lead nitrate, this is lead nitrate, which is made out of two ions, Pb plus 2 and NO3 minus. Second one is Ki, potassium iodide, made out of two ions, K plus and I minus. When they are mixed together, what will happen is exchange of ions again. So Pb plus 2 gets attached to I minus and K plus gets attached to NO3 minus. So thus by exchange of ions the reaction takes place. That is why it is called double displacement reaction. Switching over to the next type of reaction, this reaction is called oxidation reaction. As the name suggests, it is dealing with oxygen. Reaction in which oxygen is added or hydrogen is removed is called an oxidation reaction. For example, heating of copper powder in a china dish. So you can see in the reaction over here, copper, when it is heated in presence of oxygen, it is going to give us copper oxide. And initially, this copper is actually brown in color or red powder in color. It was reddish brown in color. When it reacts with oxygen, it is going to give us copper oxide, which is black powder or black in color. So if we study this reaction, we can come to know oxygen is added into copper and the product is obtained. That is how the name comes, oxidation reaction. This diagram shows how actually the reaction is taking place. Now, you can see the brown powder is taken into a dish called china dish or petri dish. When it is heated with the help of burner in presence of oxygen, this brown powder gets converted into black powder within 5-10 minutes because copper gets oxidized to copper oxide. Switching over to the next slide, the next type of reaction is reduction reaction. Reaction in which hydrogen is added or oxygen is removed is called a reduction reaction. So this is exactly opposite to oxidation reaction. This is an example of reduction reaction. We can see over here, this one, black colored copper oxide, when heated with hydrogen, it gets converted into brown colored copper back. So here we can see copper oxide is losing this oxygen and getting converted into copper. So by losing one oxygen, it undergoes reduction type of reaction. Moving over to the next slide. This is called redox reaction. As the name suggests, made up of reduction and oxidation both. So this is how it is defined. If in a reaction, oxidation and reduction take place simultaneously, it is said to be a redox reaction. This is the example for redox reaction. We can see here copper oxide, when heated with hydrogen, gets converted into copper plus H2O. The same reaction as the previous slide. We can see here oxygen is removed from copper, so this one undergoing reduction, while oxygen is added into hydrogen, so hydrogen is undergoing oxidation reaction. So both reduction and oxidation reactions take place simultaneously here. That is why it is known as redox reaction. So here if we see more redox reactions, first redox reaction, ZNO called zinc oxide plus carbon gets converted into zinc plus carbon monoxide. Study this reaction carefully. We come to know ZNO gets converted into Zn. Oxygen is removed from here. That is how this reaction is reduction reaction. If we talk about the oxidation here, then carbon gets converted into carbon monoxide, gaining one oxygen, and it is going to be called as oxidation reaction. Next, MnO2 plus 4HCl gives you MnCl2 plus H2O plus Cl2. Study this carefully, then we come to know there are oxidation and reduction reactions involved over here. If we see MnO2 get converted into MnCl2, that means oxygen is removed from here, and that's how it undergoes reduction reaction. Talk about hydrogen gets converted into H2O. That means oxygen is added over here. Hydrogen is undergoing oxidation, or it is said to be oxidized. Chlorine gets converted into Cl2, where H is removed from chlorine over here and it gets converted to Cl2. So if hydrogen is removed, then it is called oxidation reaction. So chlorine is also undergoing oxidation reaction. That is how we come to know about oxidation reduction reactions involved in redox. So this is all for this session. The next slide is about your exercise. So this is your exercise. First one, explain double displacement reaction giving examples. Second one, explain redox reaction giving two examples. And third one, lead oxide plus carbon gives Pb lead plus CO2. In this reaction, you have to identify which one is oxidation and which one is reduction reaction. That's all for now. See you in the next session.